Welcome to the Inside Silverstone podcast, a business-focused podcast covering all things tech, engineering and innovation. Hosted by me, Chris Broome, a huge tech, motorsport and gaming fan, and also the owner of Longhurst, a firm of lifestyle financial planners and independent financial advisors located in Silverstone, Northamptonshire. This is a series of unscripted and unpolished conversations with leading business owners, thought leaders and high-tech talent where we discuss their experiences within the Silverstone business and motorsport region. We will also be asking them to share their knowledge, insight and their thoughts on the future just for you. If you're looking to learn more about the Silverstone high growth region and commercially connect with like-minded peers, you've definitely come to the right place. Welcome to Inside Silverstone. Welcome to the next edition of Inside Silverstone. My name is Chris Broome and I am your host. Today I am delighted to welcome to the show for a first time Ben Peters from Roadwise. Ben, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey Chris, thank you for having us. It's exciting to be here, so thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. It's about time we got you on. We met many moons ago through a mutual connection, Mike Hayward, who will be listening to this. So Mike, thank you for introducing us. And we were introduced at the MK Dons because Mike and Woodfine solicitors occasionally take us to watch MK Dons win or mostly lose when I go, and that's where we met. So it was about time we got you on to talk all about Roadwise. Before we get into Roadwise and the cool things that you're doing, let's just have a bit of narrative about your background and a little bit about you. And as I do, as is customary, I go onto LinkedIn and I have a quick scan down the CV list to see if anyone's done anything interesting in their life or career. And I see that your opening gambit is you were, or still are, or whatever, a ski instructor.
Yeah, well, still am. No, the qualification has lapsed, but hey, like to think I've still got it though, right? Yeah, ski instructor back in, what was that, 2001, 2002. Skied from a very early age and kind of left school not really sort of knowing what I wanted to do. And at that time, the snow zone, Milton Keynes, was under construction.
Yep.
And thought, hey, so it seems like a cool place to go and work. And whilst working there, did my qualifications. Took the qualifications abroad, did a little bit of instructing, did some of my qualifications abroad actually in France. And the last bit I did was in New Zealand in 2004. So I haven't technically taught any skiing for quite some time now. But a recent visit to the snow zone proved that I've still got the legs for it and can still sort of links and turns. So I'm quite pleased about that.
Very good. Well, I learned to snowboard at the Snow Dome, I don't know, maybe a decade plus ago, a long time ago. And then my good lady started to ski a couple of years ago. So I thought, well, I'll learn to ski so we can ski together because that's what you do when you're in love. And so I learned to ski up at the Ski Dome as well last year or the year before. And
which one did you find easier?
So I found skiing once I got skiing, and it took me by the end of our first holiday away, 3 or 4 day trip that we did. By the end of that 3 or 4 days, my body just completely got it. As in, I was stopped thinking about it, and it was just happening. And so I think I enjoy skiing more, and I think I can have more fun with it. Where boarding's like hard work. I mean, you got to get up and down all the time to put the board on and off. You're constantly riding edges, and it's for me anyway, a lot more energetic and hard work. So
there's nothing quite like catching that back edge on the downhill either, is there? And smacking your head on the long way down on a snowboard.
The first time we went skiing, on the last run, I got far too cocky. It's always the last run on the last day that you have the accidents, and I got so cocky. I ended up literally front flipping on the skis, and I nearly dislocated my thumb. And I came away still laughing and thinking that was just a phenomenal trip.
Always better to do that on the last day and the first day, right?
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. This isn't a ski podcast, so let's talk about Roadwise. So basically, for those that don't know you yet or Roadwise yet, what's the business? What are you guys doing?
Okay, so Roadwise is a technology business that operates predominantly in the transport space. My background that led to this point was within the telematics industry, and the telematics technology, for those that don't know, is essentially a connected vehicle technology that enables operators to track their vehicles, see where they've been, historic journeys, looking at vehicle data, so diagnostic trouble codes, CO2 emissions, but also how well that vehicle is being driven from a human interaction perspective, so speeding, cornering, braking, acceleration events. And from my experience of working in that industry, they sort of identified some of the frustrations of the operators working with that technology and other technologies across a fleet, and saw an opportunity to create a technology that brings those different data sets together. So that's what we set out to do in our kind of first iteration as Roadwise, was build a technology platform that enables operators to plug all of their technologies into, so telematics, tachograph, fuel cards, service and maintenance data, insurance claims. So that's what we built as our Roadwise platform, was a data integration solution. But the primary driver for doing what we do is to help operators improve the current position in terms of risk profile of the fleet, so reduce accidents, improve the safety of their drivers, which then leads to benefits in terms of reduced costs, operational overheads, reduced claims experience with the insurance. And once we'd sort of built the technology platform, we sort of got to a point where we were like, well, there's a big so what. Well, okay, we can do data integration, we can make dashboards that make sense, and they present data in a format that's easy to interpret and use. But the reality is nothing changes unless you involve the driver and get this data to the driver in a meaningful format that they understand and they also want to engage with. And so we built a solution that enables us to gamify this process, if you like. And we created something called Roadwise Rewards. So we convert the data into metrics at driver level, and we convert those driver scores into rewards points, and we have a whole community portal where the driver can engage with a rewards mechanism, with a whole host of things, really, wellness content, e-learning, traditional kind of risk assessment type material as well. So that's what we do. We turn your data into a meaningful engagement program, and we engage your drivers to help reduce risk, give them a sense of community, and help you reduce your operational costs and impact on the environment.
So how has been the engagement? So, so a typical driver, so presumably this is sort of haulage driving through to long distance and what have you. So
Yeah.
are they, this is a generic statement, so, are they interested in, going onto a phone app or whatever it is to see the data and, what points that they've sort of won? How's that been?
Yeah, it's been interesting, and it's been challenging. One of the challenges that we face is that historically this data may have been used as more of a beating stick than a carrot, should we say? Yeah. So there's always a kind of perhaps resistance and to some degree a resentment around some of this data. And until we get sort of through the engagement cycle with the driver and really kind of address any of their sort of fears, their challenges, and allow them to question the process, that adoption, we have to sort of hold their hand through that process for them to actually understand we're here to assist. We're not here to, it's not necessarily a full-on disciplinary cycle. This is about helping you improve and engage long term. And some of them adopt quicker than others, and something that we're acutely conscious of is that drivers are kind of working in isolation for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So actually a lot of them adopt and go, actually this is giving us a sort of sense of well-being and community and belonging, and something that we can actually engage with at any time. So whether that's on rest periods in the cab, whether that's from the comfort of their own home, whether it's perhaps in the office, the transport office environment, they can engage whenever they want. So we're refining and improving that process, but we have been through a number of different challenges.
Got to teach your dog a new trick, right? So it's just about and encouraging them that actually, not, as you said, not to be fearful of it, and actually this is not only going to improve your working experience and but potentially can benefit from it in other ways as well, through rewards and other things. So
yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that we were keen to create, was a program that, I think it's difficult to create a program that appeals to everyone. I mean, we have to acknowledge that, is that it is difficult to get everybody on board and find something that fits all personalities. But what we wanted to create was a program that gave us the best chance of appealing to as many characters as we can. So the rewards portal is set up as an incentive program that operates almost like an Amazon website, if you like. There's different things that you can pick and choose from and how you spend your rewards points, including downloading of vouchers or grocery vouchers if required.
So can you give us some examples of, and this might seem like such an obvious question to answer, but like some examples of how this technology, your complete technology package, reduces accidents and saves an organisation money in the long run?
Yeah, sure. So we can quote figures, proven figures of around a 59% reduction in claims.
Wow.
That's led to then positive conversations with brokers and underwriters when it comes to insurance premium renewal.
Yeah.
12%, between 8 to 12% saving in fuel spend, and significant reductions in things like speeding events, which in isolation is probably not the right kind of data to be looking at. But when we look at it in context with miles driven time in the vehicle, we can prove that it's improving the performance of the fleet longer term. So it translates very quickly into bottom line savings, but the focus is on the individual behind the wheel. So when you compare us to sort of perhaps a traditional risk management model, which is more kind of assessment driven, we put the driver first, engage with them, understand more about them as a character and their wellness, to then procure the results in terms of those longer term cost savings and improvements across the fleet. And probably the one that we were most proud of is the one I just quoted there, the 59% reduction in claims in 12 months of working with the operator, which then leads to a positive conversation with the broker come insurance premium renewal.
Yeah, sure. What's life been like during COVID for the business? But again, a pretty obvious question to ask and an obvious answer. But during COVID, the haulage industry, how's it all been?
Yeah, I think the haulage industry, depending on where you sit within that industry, some people have gone mentally busy and have maintained sort of peak kind of levels of productivity throughout the whole year. Had a couple of customers that went a little bit quieter, but then used that time to look at how to implement other efficiencies throughout the fleet. Yeah. So they reduced their fleet size quite quickly, but then looked at how to utilize software to better manage workload moving forwards and how to optimize route planning as an example. But we actually grew slightly through lockdown. We acquired a couple of new customers,
right?
And we've got quite a healthy looking pipeline. So sitting here sort of touching wood and feeling very grateful really of how we've been able to navigate through COVID. And I think at the moment we're seeing positive signs across the industry that people are picking up and businesses picking up, and productivity levels are starting to increase. That may be slightly skewed by the fact that we're now in Christmas peak. So we've got peak on top of peak almost, if you like, for some operators. And of course, home delivery in particular, I think has seen significant increases. We've seen courier operations put significant volumes of additional vehicles on the road and looking for more drivers, which I think has also helped some of those that have been displaced from their day jobs during COVID, has given them opportunity to work in the industry who may have not been inside the industry when the redundancies occurred. But as I said, the pipeline is looking good. We're getting geared up to raise investment over the next couple of months. So we're quite excited about the future.
It's very, very exciting. And so, on your website, you also promote a development team, so the Roadwise development team. So, who's in that and what is it?
Yeah, so we partner with Paul and Richard as our development team. They've really helped us pull together how our technology basically interacts. So at any one point, we may be working with 3 or 4 different APIs with any one particular customer.
Yeah. So
they've really helped us build the API integrations and the way that the database works, but then also how our front end interacts with that database. We've recently just had a redevelopment or a redesign of our front end as well. So what I was keen to do during lockdown was to improve the user experience.
Yeah.
So the look and feel, but also how you interact with it and how the data story is presented. And the team have really helped us pull all of those the aspects of that data circle together, if you like. And I suppose one of the challenges that we have as a business is no two fleets have the same technology providers. Some of them might do, but you might have a different telematics provider, you might have a different tacho provider, etc. So the technologies are the same, but they're provided by different end suppliers. So each time as we take on a new customer in these early stages of our journey, we may be starting a new development and building a library of APIs, and the team have really supported that development.
Very good. The Silverstone Technology Cluster, remind me, you are a member of the STC, aren't you?
We are soon to be a member of the cluster.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. So you are joining.
We will be joining. Yes, we are joining.
Good. I'll make sure I tell Pim. So yeah, I mean, so a question would be, why are you joining the STC? So for those listening to this, the STC is the Silverstone Technology Cluster, which is based in Silverstone Park, next to the Silverstone F1 race circuit. So it's a special community of like-minded technology folk, from professional advisors through to businesses such as Roadwise, joining us. So why are you joining it, and why now?
Well, to be honest, for all of the above reasons you just mentioned, the network, the support, and to be part of the cluster, I think I would hope that we can add value and support ourselves.
Yep.
But also, as a young business, we need that support as well. As I mentioned, we are getting geared up to raise investment, and as part of that, we would be potentially looking at for support from within the group to help us do that in the right way, but also to connect to other businesses who perhaps have been through that journey already.
Well, there's shed loads, to be fair. There's a lot of organisations that and individuals who will be definitely willing to give up their time and experience with capital raising, and clearly there's a bunch of professional advisors that have also been along that path supporting. So obviously, good luck with that. Welcome you to the community once you join it. What about yourself for sort of COVID related stuff? So life during COVID and life beyond. So how's it all been, and what are you looking forward to doing the most sort of beyond COVID next year?
Well, life beyond COVID. Well, I wonder what that's going to look like. Is it life beyond or life with COVID? Do we just adopt and adapt? Life with COVID. What I learned, Chris, was that I'm definitely no good at homeschooling. We've got 4 kids and an age range of 14 to 4. That was quite a challenge for us. So I think we did what sort of 99% of the population did, and went and bought a bloody big paddling pool. That in the garden, and the kids ended up with really good tan. So we're very grateful for all the good weather we had in that first lockdown. I became slightly obsessed with pool filters as well, because the filter our pool came with was absolutely naff. I ended up finding myself spending hours going through, what's the best filter for this.
These are first world problems we're sharing, right? So obsessed with pool filters.
Absolutely. And with the, I think something I'd like to reflect on actually is that during the first lockdown in particular, was everybody became acutely aware of how important transport is to the local and national economy, and it always has been a massively important part of our economy. Things don't move without some form of road transport, and I think as we navigate through this second lockdown, I think there's levels of anxiety definitely exist. But we perhaps know a little bit more about what we're dealing with now, so we're able to navigate through this in a slightly different way. But I just wanted to say, huge sort of, I guess, bravo to all the drivers that carried on throughout all of these lockdowns, and all the transport operations that carried on and have continued to do a great job, and did an amazing job before any of this happened, to be honest. Yeah. and also, I should acknowledge as well that I'm really grateful that schools are still open in this second lockdown.
Oh yeah, I had a client meeting this morning through Zoom, and they said the same thing about home teaching, homeschooling, and the fact that the kids are now going back. They're like, thank God. Brilliant.
We set out with all best intentions, and sort of 3 days in, I was like, this isn't
this isn't for us.
It's not working for us.
We know our specialism, and it's not this.
This is it.
Right, Ben, before we close off with our final big overriding question, the most important question I'm going to ask you in this interview, is there anything else that you want to talk about or share that we haven't sort of touched on in the sort of short 10-15 minutes?
No, nothing for me. Again, just wanted to express my gratitude of having me on and giving me the opportunity to be part of this. So thank you.
Ben, we're all part of the same community, and we can thank Mike for the introduction. So, absolutely. Pleasure for coming
on. Say hi to Mike as well. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Right, last question. And so, as I say on this last question, I've spent decades going through a series of learning points and coaching and speaking to mentors around the world to come up with this final question, Ben. So I'm going to give it a little drum roll.
Come on.
What is the king, or indeed queen, of crisps?
Well, as you might be able to tell from my athletic physique, I've tried a crisp or two in my time. And I'd have to go for something like a Brannigan's ham and mustard.
Oh, that's a good crisp.
But a Brannigan's ham and mustard from like the mid-90s, the ones where you used to just have one and then your nose was on fire for about 3 hours afterwards. They're the ones.
No one's come back with that. We've had, I don't know how many of these we've done, 30 plus these questions. No one's come in with a ham and mustard. Yeah, you're right. Something that's like, oh my God, there's some serious heat on that crisp.
This is it, yeah. Ones that sort of warm you up on a cold day, you know?
Oh, yeah, we need some of those right now.
Yeah.
Brilliant answer. Ben from Roadwise, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to make sure that in the show notes on both YouTube, the podcast, and all the websites it's promoted, we're going to make sure there's website links to Roadwise so that folk can obviously read up on what you're doing and clearly get in contact if they're running an organisation that would benefit clearly from the technology platform that you provide. We'll make sure that the links are all in there. Everybody listening to this, obviously check them out. Ben, phenomenal to have you on the podcast finally. Take care for the coming weeks and months, and look forward to physically seeing you. I guess it's going to be next year now, probably at the MK Dons with Mike, watching them hopefully win.
Fingers crossed. Right?
Fingers crossed. Ben, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Is it too early to say Happy Christmas?
Merry Christmas.
Anyway.
Whatever.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
The Inside Silverstone podcast is produced by the team at Longhurst for the benefit of those with a passion for all things tech, engineering and innovation. For more information, please visit longhurst.co.uk/Inside Silverstone, whilst also remembering to give us a 5 out of 5 star rating on iTunes. Please note that neither Chris Broome or Longhurst work for Silverstone Park, Silverstone Circuit or Silverstone Technology Cluster.